what's up? Welcome to the channel. And I feel like this is no better time to start an NBA season. We're coming off an amazing season. The Golden State Warriors came and took that championship when a couple years ago it looked pretty bleak. We just had one of the craziest off seasons. Kevin Durant looked like he was about to, for a second time. It looked like Kyrie was about to dip as well. Rudy Gobert, who we thought was going to be a Utah Jazz lifer, was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Donovan Mitchell, who, if you didn't think Rudy Gobert was going to be a Utah Jazz lifer, also get traded during this offseason. And a bunch of other moves. Lakers still suck. It's just been a crazy offseason. So I think we're going to have a great season ahead of us. And I think there's no better way to kick this off than the top 10 teams I project will be able to make that run this season. These top 10 teams are teams that I feel can really make a push for that Larry O.B. For example, the Chicago Bulls, my own team, through the regular season, we're going to be dominant. We're going to be good, but once we hit that playoffs, I don't know that we're going to be in contention to make a serious push. So these 10 teams I got right here, I feel like they can make a serious push, starting with number 10, the Los Angeles Clippers, man. I feel like there's a bunch of teams that I left off that I could have put at this spot. But, I decided to put the Los Angeles Clippers. Yes, we haven't seen Kawhi in about 2 years. We haven't seen what this three-headed monster of PG, Kawhi, and John Wall is going to look like. But I predict that Kawhi being the player that we know him to be, Kawhi being the playoff player that we know him to be, in the addition to John Wall, who, judging from the summertime workout videos, is pulling the three ball. You can't go under them screens now. So I feel like they're going to be a very dangerous team. Adding on to the top of that, they have one of the most deepest benches in the league. So I just think, that 10 spot, I could have gave it to anybody. I decided to give it to the Clippers. And at number 9, we got the Phoenix Suns. I actually, ironically, flipped this team with another team that you will see who, but I got to put Phoenix Suns at this number 9 spot because throughout the past couple of seasons, we've seen that they've had what it takes to make good runs throughout the season, even good runs throughout the playoffs, but they just don't exactly have what it takes to get them over the hump. And when you look at these additions they made over the offseason, Damon Lee, Dwayne Washington Jr., Josh Okogie, those are good players, but I don't think those are the players that you need to get over the hump. We've seen them come this close, and they haven't really made any strides to get better. I do believe the Phoenix Suns are going to be an impressive team this year. And like I said, another team that I ironically switched out with the Phoenix Suns, the Dallas Mavericks. And the reason that I put the Dallas Mavericks over the Phoenix Suns was we saw the Dallas Mavericks go and give the Phoenix Suns the man, we saw them basically serve them up on a platter. Dallas Mavericks, they just simply got better. So the addition to Christian Wood, I believe that them getting rid of Jalen Brunson really opens up the door for them to build off Luka and Spencer Dinwiddie and Christian Wood. I'm just a believer in Luka Doncic. If you got Luka Doncic on that team, it's gonna be something nice. And at number 7, I got the Brooklyn Nets. Not really a lot to say about the Brooklyn Nets talent-wise. We know they have Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers to ever touch a basketball. We have Kyrie Irving, who personally I feel like is one of the most skilled players to ever touch a basketball. And they have Ben Simmons, who, the last time we saw him, he kind of left a sour taste in everybody's mouth, but we know what he can bring to a table defensively. And then when you think about the role players that they built around them, they added more depth to their team. They added more shooting to their team. They added more defense to their team, which I feel like is a really big reason why they got swept in the first round. I'm expecting a push from them, but with the unexpected play from Kyrie and Ben Simmons, I don't want to put them too high. Number 6, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I wanted to have the New Orleans Pelicans higher because I'm super duper high on them. But these teams above the New Orleans Pelicans, I I just couldn't put the Pelicans above them. These teams above them are teams that I truly don't believe can mess with them. But the New Orleans Pelicans, who we just seen go 7 games with the best team in basketball last year without their star player and a guy who pretty much just walked onto their team a couple of months earlier. I feel like once they bring everything back and they have Zion, they have Brandon Ingram, and they're able to have continuity within their team, I think that they can be really dangerous in that West. And then after that, at number 5, I got, don't shoot me, I got the Golden State Warriors. Now, yes, they're coming off a championship. And I'm saying that they're going to be the 5th best team in the league next year. Yes, sue me. But I believe that the Golden State Warriors gave up a lot of pieces that were pivotal to their playoff run. And I'm just not a believer that what they're going to use going forward isn't going to sufficiently replace what they lost. Because when you look at some of the things that they lost, Juan Toscano Anderson, who was playing really good defensive minutes for them in that Celtics series. Gary Payton II, who was also playing good defensive minutes for them. They lost Nemanja Bjelica, who was coming off that bench, giving them good, efficient minutes. So when you look at it, those names, they don't really fly off the paper as anything that you would miss them with. Yes, Kuminga, Jordan Poole, James Wiseman, they're all very good players, but I don't think that the Golden State Warriors can make a title run given the amount of depth that they gave up. I'm a firm believer in their core, which is why I still have them top 5, but I think it's going to be very hard to make that playoff push when you lose those important backup pieces. At 4, I have the Denver Nuggets. Now, I believe if Nikola Jokic had a healthy squad around him, that he could have potentially given the Golden State Warriors more of a run for their money. Jokic is something that everyone should be scared of, and when he gets his 2 counterparts back, I think they're going to be able to make a serious title contending push. For the last couple of years, they've been getting bounced out the playoffs by some pretty incredible teams, and I feel like this is their year to make a serious push. And I feel like this is the year we're going to see them possibly in the Western Conference Finals. They got rid of Will Barton and Monte Morris, but they replaced him with Bruce Brown, who I can tell you as a guy who's a big Kyrie Irving fan. I watched a lot of Brooklyn Nets games last year, and Bruce Brown is a guy who I personally think is a guy that everybody would want. He's a guy who defends, he runs the floor, he can shoot some open threes. He had like a week where he just couldn't miss from 3. So Bruce Brown is definitely a nice dirty work player that I would like to have around Nikola Jokic and his 2 stars. So be wary of Denver this year. Number 3, the Milwaukee Bucks. Injury halted the Bucks from going further than what they did, but I truly believe that a healthy Bucks team could have made it to the finals for the 2nd year in a row and possibly could have won it against the Warriors, especially if the Warriors made it, because I don't think they have anybody that can guard Giannis. And one thing that makes the Bucks different from any other team that has a player that's so, how do I want to put this? A player that's so theoretically on paper easy to stop as Giannis, but Giannis has a bunch of role players that are willing to step up at any moment, and we saw that in the playoffs. The reason why the Celtics weren't able to sweep the Bucks like they were able to sweep the Nets is because Giannis has role players that are going to step up. Grayson Allen is going to step up and hit those shots. Bobby Portis is going to step up and hit those shots. Pat Connaughton is going to step up and hit those shots. And even with Chris Middleton going down, they were still able to take the Celtics to 7 games, because when you have MVP caliber player like Giannis, and you have the phenomenal role players around him that you have, and you have a do-it-all guy like Drew Holiday, and you have a phenomenal Robin and Chris Middleton, almost called that man Bruce Wayne. If you have a phenomenal Robin and Chris Middleton, it's just a super duper hard team to beat. They're coming back with a vengeance. They don't like how they went out, and I think they're coming back with a vengeance. Number 2, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. I have the Philadelphia 76ers as the number 2 team in the league because I am expecting, I'm not even expecting a bounce back. I'm expecting a blast back season from James Harden. We saw 2 years ago he suffered from the hamstring injury. It's not really something that people put common knowledge to, but it's pretty hard to train and do a lot of things when you're suffering a hamstring injury. So James Harden wasn't really able to work on stamina and getting better, and we've seen that in the 2 years following. But in this past offseason, we've seen him in the gym slimming down. He even took the pay cut. So not only is he physically invested in his team, I feel like he's emotionally invested in this team. I feel like all this team needed, on top of MVP player like Joel Embiid, was another MVP player like James Harden, and you put those two together, I'm expecting incredible things from Philadelphia this year. They picked up the single greatest role player in NBA history, PJ Tucker. Any team that PJ Tucker has ever left from suffered gruesomely. No need to even talk about it. PJ Tucker is the best role player in the NBA, and he plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm just expecting good things from this Philadelphia 76ers team. And not to freaking mention the X Factor. I wouldn't even say X Factors, but Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey. I feel like on putting them on top of everything that I just said, the MVP play of James Harden, the defensive presence of Matisse Thybulle, bucket getting of Tobias Harris, then you have the grittiness of PJ Tucker, the MVP dominance of Joel Embiid, and then you just have guys off the bench like DeAnthony Melton and Daniel House that can just come in and do all the dirty work for you. I believe that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be one of the teams to beat. I say one of the teams to beat in the East because at number 1, I have the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are a team that have been emerging right in front of our eyes for like the past 4 to 5 years. And last year they really showed the league that they've arrived. They throughout the past couple of years they've been pretty inconsistent. They might have a supreme start to a season, and then throughout as the season progresses, they might slowly drop off, or they might have a horrible start to a season like we seen last year. And then as the season picks up, then they start to show us the Boston Celtics that we know that they can beat. But I feel like after this year, making this finals run, we're gonna see more consistency from the Boston Celtics throughout the season and the playoffs. And with the addition of Malcolm Brogdon, who is bringing everything that they've been missing for the past couple of years, and the addition of Gallinari, who, although is injured for the season, if he's slated to come back around playoff time, he can definitely make a great impact on this team. And then you already have great defensive presence like Robert Horford. I ain't never just combined both of their names like that. Al Horford and Robert Williams mixed with the offensive potency of the Jays. And then you just brought in Malcolm Brogdon. You still got the reigning defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart. This is a team to really be worried about coming out the East. And that is it. Top 10 teams going into the season. Don't sue me. I would like to revisit this when the season is over, see where I would move some people, and if I didn't talk about your team, shut up.